is no secret that there's a lot of chatter that we are possibly not going to be here tomorrow. We might be having an AMI day. An AMI day stands for Alternative Methods of Instruction. And the reason we are able to do this is because we have technology for you guys to be able to access lessons at home. In order to access lessons at home, and in order for us to count this as a school day, you guys have to be doing the school work. It just so happens, and I kind of touched on this morning, we are going to be starting a new, we're starting a new unit next week. This week was supposed to be our final project for our nonfiction research with writing. It still is going to be that way. Today you guys are going to be working on setting up your your project so that you can easily start it. And that's going to be your focus, is your reading project. It gets a little confusing because we have right now reading and we have writing. And it looks very similar because you guys are using the same topic for both. For reading, what you've done are your Post-its and you've done your long jots. We're going to start a new project. That's our goal, is to start this project, and it will be due Monday. You will have time to work on it Wednesday and Thursday.
What about Friday?
Friday, I'm not going to give you time in class to work on it, but I have a different assignment we're doing. So if we're here, you can still work on it over the weekend at home for homework. But you are only getting time to work on it for my class Wednesday and Thursday. If I had to guess, I would assume you will be home, and most of the work to get it done, you guys are going to have in class time today to do. So you should be set up pretty well in order to start your projects tomorrow, whether it's here at home, and Thursday. Writing. So far on Friday, we turned in our first nonfiction piece. It was formal writing. Remember, we went through this packet together and we talked about formal versus informal writing. And we came up with our elephant of all the things we wanted to teach our reader about our topic, and then we made a plan. And we planned out our paragraphs. Most of you guys followed this 4-paragraph plan where you talked about the background information, you talked about the opposing views, you talked about what they agreed upon, and then you talked about some of the big disagreements. And then you guys got on the computer and you started typing. A lot of you finished that on Friday. I am still missing it from some people. This also needs to get finished. This is going to be due Thursday. Most people in the other class finished them today. They just need a little bit of time to catch up, and that's fine. Our next steps for writing are going to be to write our chapter books. Our chapter books will be what we work on all next week. Here are some examples of chapter books. They have text features in them. They have writing. They have photographs. So our chapter books will take us about a week because it's about 3 typed pages of information, plus putting in some text features. For writing this week, I don't want us to focus on it. If we're in class, great. I'd rather those stop with writing, work on our project presentations this week, and then come back to our formal writing next week. Does that sound okay with everyone? Yeah. I feel like that way it's going to be a little easier. So let's talk about what this reading project is going to look like. This is going to be called a synthesis project. A synthesis project is going to be a project that shows me you know how to synthesize a non-topic. And if you don't remember what synthesizing is, I'm going to ask you to turn to, I'm actually going to ask everyone to turn to this chapter of, or this section of their notebook that says synthesizing.
The boy looks insane.
All right. If we look at this micro progression right behind where it says synthesizing, it actually tells me what I need to be able to do in order to synthesize. Synthesize an idea that connects thinking about all sources. How do they extend, contradict, or fit with each other? Organize your research into main ideas or subtopics. And take the ideas and explain your new understanding. So explain how your thinking has changed as you've read and researched your topic. Maybe it's changed a lot. Maybe it hasn't changed much, but you've had information or evidence that has backed up your opinions, and so your thinking is even more concrete than it was before. Essentially, a synthesis is what you did with this long jot. Your long jot was in your notebook, and you talked about all the things you were learning about, and you were talking about the different ideas you were growing. You talked about the opinions that were confusing you. You were talking about questions you were having about certain parts of your topic. That's what you're going to do again, except instead of doing it as a long jot, you're going to present that same information, talking about all of your research, talking about all of your subtopics, and it's not going to be like this. It's not going to be a formal, unbiased piece. It's going to be tracking your thinking and explaining how you've grown your thinking through a project.
Like when we did the,
Yeah. So you guys have had two examples. One was your long jot, and one was your shorter long jot. Looked like this. Like this is a very short synthesis. And then you guys did a long jot that was 1 page. So, what kind of things can you do to synthesize your project? You can do this in a variety of ways. You can do a podcast or TED Talk type format. And we're going to listen to a podcast today so we can hear and see what a podcast sounds like. A podcast or a TED Talk. A podcast is pretty much, I don't know if you've ever heard of one before, they're on different topics. Like lots of different people have a podcast they like to listen to, and it's radio hosts who talk about one issue. So like my sister likes to listen to true crime podcasts, which is when they talk about like famous like criminal cases, and they talk about evidence, they talk about the different people involved. My brother likes to listen to podcasts about TV shows, background trivia and things like that. Scott listens to podcasts about sports stuff. My one cousin listens to podcasts about American history, but like obscure American history facts that not a lot of people know. So there are podcasts out there about everything. If you're creating a podcast about your topic, you're going to be teaching it's basically like you're talking to a person about your research and about the way your thoughts have changed. And like I said, we'll listen to one and kind of see what that sounds like. If you're making a podcast or a TED Talk, then today your focus is going to be to create a script. And it doesn't have to be word for word, but it has to have like your main talking points down so you know what you're going to be talking about. So then tomorrow and Thursday, you guys can get on Flipgrid, which I'll show you how to do. And you can record your podcast to present to class. So podcast or a TED Talk. Another thing.
Oh no.
Write a song or lyrics. I did not think of this one, but I just heard one from Miss Cox's class. They were doing immigration, and they wrote a song about immigration and like how the things they've learned to the tune of "We Don't Talk About Bruno." So I thought that was kind of clever.
Wait, do you know what sing was?
Yes, Silas.
Do we have to sing it, or do we just?
I wouldn't make you sing it as long as it was written out completely.
Wait, but did they sing it?
Thank you, Luke, for raising your hand.
Do you know what kid did that in this Cox class?
I do. I'm not talking about that. So, writing a song or lyrics. Another thing you could do are slides, if you would like to do slides. I will say this. If you are doing slides, you cannot just put 3 bullet points on a slide and then say, oh, that's my slide. There needs to be animation. There needs to be pictures and images. There needs to be explanation to it. So they have to be pretty well done. Kenzie.
So when we present, we have
I wouldn't make you sing the song, but I would make you share the lyrics.
okay, so like, but the whole thing you would have to like show it in front of the class.
Yes. I haven't decided. It depends on how people decide to do it. In the past, I've had a lot of like podcasts before and things, and so people just kind of set computers up and people were able to go around like a gallery walk and just look at certain ones. We'll talk about that on Monday, how we want to share it out, or Friday. So, podcast or TED Talk, create a script, writing a song or lyrics, Google Slides, and then the last one I have is creating a poster. With a poster, it's just, I would cut some of that pink paper for you. If you know you don't have internet access or you don't think you're going to be able to get onto the internet while you are at home, that's probably your best bet. Or if you prefer to do a poster, that's also fine too. You just need to make sure you have enough information on there. Leah, and then Ronnie, and then Chloe.
Are those all the things we're gonna have to do, or are they options?
Those are your options. You don't do all of them. Ronnie.
Could you maybe combine your options like a song on Google Slides?
So like you put the lyrics on the slides?
Yeah.
Yes.
On the poster, could you like at home like print out pictures to put on the poster?
Yes. Okay. So normally when I do this project, if people are doing a poster, I say email me. Like I say, make a Google Doc and you can have 3 images and you can print it out. I can't guarantee that I could get them printed for this class though. So what I'm going to say is if you have a printer at home, you can print it home. You can draw on the poster. Or if you're just like really wanting to get a specific image, email me and we will talk about a way to maybe leave like a blank space or something and figure out how to get that to work for you, okay? Luke.
Also, a library has a printer.
Hmm?
Doesn't a library?
The public libraries have printing, but if it's bad enough weather, the public libraries won't be opening. And I don't want anybody risking like driving for this. So if like for some reason you weren't able to get a picture on your poster, I don't want you guys to panic about it. Because I'm honestly more interested in the information piece. So those are some options for ways you can present your topic and how your thinking has grown and the things you have learned and the opinions you've learned. Something I want to bring up. When you guys are making these projects, I want you to be able to talk about where you found information. So I should see, instead of just writing in one article, in another article, in this article, I should see, in the battle over GMOs, they talked about how pesticide use is one of the reasons we need GMOs. But in the article, Herbicides on KidsNet, they talked about herbicide use not being that bad. So I'm using the specific title of some of my articles. That's important so that we know where this information came from. So these projects are going to be due, like I said, on Monday. Tomorrow and Thursday, no matter what, whether we're here or it's AMI, you are working on these projects. So you have a little bit of time today to do some planning, to do some thinking through. And then Wednesday and Thursday, the actual creation part. That being said, it is not an option not to do work when you are at home for an AMI day. You will not be counted as being here, you'll be counted as absent. You will have to get this done on your own time at some point then. It's the only thing I'm going to leave for you guys to do on AMI, other than your status. So that way you have time to do it. Does that seem fair? Does that seem like you guys could get that done? Especially if we have time to kind of do some planning today before you leave.
So, including reading and writing, all we would have to do
is just working on this project.
Oh, okay.
The only thing I would put out differently is Friday. I don't know if they're thinking maybe Friday or not. I think it's going to depend on the roads clear. Friday, I would put out a video that's going to be a book talk about fantasy book club books. Did I say that this morning? I can't remember who I told. Okay, so Friday, if we're in class, we're talking about fantasy book clubs. I'm book talking. We're going to do a little bit of voting on which one you would like. You're going to give me some preferences. But if we're not here Friday, I'll put that online. That would be the thing you would do on Friday. Chloe.
Is there like a time or a due date that like your project has to be done by?
Monday. Yeah. Because I figured Wednesday and Thursday, hopefully people have time to do it. But you will not have class time to work on it Friday if we're here. Gabriel.
For the Google slide, you said that we have to say, like, in this article, it
Mhm.
says this and this and this. Would we be able to, like, write out all the things it said without putting the credits and then on the very last slide put the credits?
Yeah, that's what I
Like quoting it all the way, you need to paraphrase and put in your own words. Good question. Which we're going to talk about paraphrasing and writing today.
Wait, what?
You need to put it in your own words. You can use like one quote. You do not, okay. You can use like a quote. Can't be your whole word. And I'm not going to have you guys focus on citing your sources yet, just because there's not enough time to teach all that today. So we're going to talk about that still when we talk about like research and stuff like over the next few weeks. Don't worry about the citing sources part. Is that what you're talking about?
For the podcast or the TED Talk kind of stuff, or with writing.
Wait, what?
Do you mean like citing your sources? With the,
Yeah, don't worry about citing your sources. And other than saying in the article and like saying the title of the article.
Oh, okay.
That's what I want you guys doing at this particular point. Okay. So if you're in here, I don't know if this is going to show up if you're not in here, but the Google Classroom, I did put a link. You guys don't have to get on it right now. There is a link that says to make a podcast or a TED Talk, and it says Flipgrid, and if you click on it, it'll take you to Flipgrid. If you are planning on doing a podcast or a TED Talk, I'm going to ask that you click on that link before you leave here today, and I will remind you just to make sure you know where to find that information. All right, so that is what we are doing for today, tomorrow, Thursday. And my expectations would be to get this project done and to do your independent reading. The other thing will be, and I'll tell people who still owe me writing from last week, that's the only other thing. Questions about this? All right. I am going to play a podcast, so if you are watching this from home, I'm going to leave a podcast link you can listen to see what a podcast sounds like. The one thing I do want to say, I don't keep office hours on AMI days, which is where like teachers usually sit on a Zoom and you can jump on if you have questions. If I'm at home, that means Charlie and Ellie are at home because their school's closed. And so what I do is I keep my phone on me all day and I have an alarm set every half hour. I will check my email. If you have a question about any of your stuff you're doing and you're getting confused or you need help, email me. If it's something I can help you with via email, I will. Otherwise, I can get on a Zoom with you really quick if I need to, but I will check it every half hour so that you're not like waiting around all day for me to respond. Other than that, that's like the best I can do. Okay.
Just ask